Let's take a look at the Campark T180 at 4K resolution, and it's a solar trail camera. For me, I need it to be good enough to get license plate numbers and other identifying information when someone decides to damage the old mailbox again, whether it's a vehicle or an implement. So I'm going to compare the resolution of this 4K camera with all the other cameras I have and see how well it meets the product claim. This should be interesting. Hi anyone, I'm Scott Payne. They call me the old farmer. When setting up any kind of security or just wishing to watch what happens around the stead, when you don't have eyes watching, a good camera can be invaluable. To get started, I walked about 100 feet out from our deck that I must admit should be repaired this summer. It's showing its age. I paced off from the deck and put a road sign that has various size type. It happens to be a Christmas sign. It was quick and easy to place. All shots are within inches of one another for distance. Let's call it about 3 inches of variance, so we should get a good comparison. First, I will show you the communication that I had with Campark. We use only one computer to do online purchases. Mrs. Old Farmer Marty's computer is the one that we use. That means I don't have a presence on Amazon. And I told them this. The review will be on YouTube. I kept all private information out of this graphic. What I did, since I could no longer find the camera on Amazon, was have Mrs. Old Farmer buy it using PayPal from the Campark's website. They did not want to follow my terms for evaluation. They also showed that if they did not like the review, I would be out the cost of the camera. So I bought it with my own money without telling them. I will send them an email of my review. One important note is if you use their website, it comes from offshore, I think China, but they try to make everything look as if it's from the United States. To me, this is a strong negative. Anyone having more than a couple eggs in their carton knows it's a foreign country, so admit it. Because they do not actually understand Americans, they come off looking foolish. Whereas, if they were honest about it, they would not look foolish at all. I have a very high respect for peoples of other countries. I might think differently of their governments, but most people are good people, and I like them. As for those of you who follow the channel, know that I try to give the benefit of the doubt to the product. But is it worth the money, and will it do the job? Remember, I wanted this camera to record anyone hitting the mailbox and to be able to identify what hit it. The advantage to a 4K camera is that you can digitally zoom 4 times larger and still get a picture that's the equivalent of a 1920 by 1080 picture. At 1080, you should be able to magnify another 4 times and still get a readable picture. It will be grainy and not something to hang on your wall, but still readable. This is talking about video. If it's a snapshot, the size for this camera is 8,000 by 4496, at least by the specs. This should really give us plenty of zoomability. First is the instruction manual. I like that it was right on top and the easiest thing to get out of the box. It's loaded with information. 2 very disappointing things to me. You can tell that whoever translated this manual had English as a second language. I think these companies should have Americans who know how to do manuals write the manual. I'm available and my rates are very reasonable. I have to admit that the manual puts Harbor Freight's manuals to shame. Second, the manual has all the languages, English, German, and French in one manual. That means every time you need to use the manual, the other languages get in the way. It is more than past time to have these manuals separated. The printer could publish these separately without any additional cost, or at the extreme most, a nickel more, and then bag them together so that when the camera is packaged, the 3 separate manuals would be handled as one object. I'm getting to the point that I may not purchase anything more that has combined manuals. Stick as many languages into the packet that you want. The German part of this particular manual will be the hardest to use because it's in the middle of the booklet. Separate the manuals. If they had separated the manuals, they could have gotten by with only a couple of staples for each language, instead of having a bound manual. The English manual is 36 pages out of 123 pages. Yes, I actually counted up the number of non-numbered pages in the manual and added it to the total. Also, the font they used is hard to read and it could be darker. Now for the physical attributes of the camera. It's well built, sturdy. It opens fairly easily and closes easily too. The memory card slot is a little awkward to use. Granted, the files can be reached remotely, but I prefer to transfer directly from the card. I tried to view on the monitor what had been recorded. It's awkward and hard to see clearly. It's good enough for setup and for aiming the camera and to see if you got any files. Other than that, either pull the card, use the USB connection, or try the Wi-Fi. The solar panel will charge the internal battery, but not your lithiums. I have been having trouble making it through the day so far without draining the batteries. Their internal battery and my extra batteries. You can add 4 AA batteries as backup to the camera. I am experimenting to see what I can reasonably do so that I don't have to babysit the camera. I want to put it out, keep it charged by the sun, with my lithiums for backup, but have all the batteries charged with the solar panel. That's not happening. Also, the solar panel is fixed to the camera without a swivel. For what I need it for, the solar panels are pointing north. Not good. If you plug in the USB port to an adapter or computer, it will charge the internal batteries, not your lithiums. This is a major flaw in design. Also, there should be a way to plug in power from another source. Car battery, more solar cells, an AC adapter. I'm going to have trouble with this one, folks. I just can't handle French. But the Moultrie Cam is running off of an AC adapter off my deck, and it doesn't have any batteries in it. It's just AC. I wish the T180 had this ability. It limits to a large degree how the camera can be used to the point that it could be considered by many as something not to buy. If there had been a power port, I could hook up a motorcycle battery fed by as many solar cells that I needed to keep it charged. It kind of reminds me of a NASCAR vehicle with an old Volkswagen motor powering it. The power plant can't handle the options. If outboard power could be added, from the operational point of view, with all it can do, it could be an extremely flexible camera. Some poor decisions have been made on the design of this camera. Also, I do not like that I cannot do a dang blasted thing with setup or to check the battery unless I have a memory card in the camera. While I'm downloading files to my computer, there are things I can check, but they locked me out of doing anything. This is another serious flaw in the design. Many companies forget that it's not what you think, that is the company, but what the customer thinks that counts. There is too much competition to lock out something because you thought it was not important, especially if it doesn't cost anything. I'm getting very leery buying things from companies I don't know. Even if I do know the company, I'm very cautious because they may have thrown us to the wolves. The T180 has several options for mounting the camera. I appreciate this. It has a camouflage paint job. I'm indifferent to it for my applications, but for others it may help. The screen is not too bad. I wouldn't use it to actually watch or look at photos or videos. It would be considered a confidence monitor to check that things are working the way that they should. They offer a hotspot Wi-Fi app for your phone to watch the videos. I'm not going to install it. What they don't know won't hurt me. There have been too many abuses by phone apps for me adding something I won't use. even if it's installed. I'll use my computer by pulling the memory card like I do for all my cameras. This extra step gives me greater control over the process, and I don't have as much arguing from the product. Before I forget, the warranty is only 30 days from a receipt. Maybe folks will stop complaining about Harbor Freight's 90-day warranty. Now that we have gone through all the non-camera things about the T180, how good of an image can I get off this little beast? The imager is 1/3 of an inch. Just as important to have a good imager is having a decent lens. The camera came with protective film to protect the glass parts of the camera, the lens, the PIR, and the IR windows. The lens had 2 of the protective films, and I didn't see this. The first videos and pictures were not promising. It wasn't until I was again aiming the camera the second time that I saw there was an additional protective film on the lens. This ought to clear up the picture a bit, wouldn't you say? And you know, this happens, it's no big deal. I'd rather have manufacturing double film the lens instead of missing it. What I want to see, is it possible to see the numbers on a license plate at 100 feet or maybe even 50 feet? I will be comparing the T180 to my Canon camera, the 4K zoom camera, and my cell phone, and my other trail camera, which I cannot pronounce the name. The Canon and cell phone are both 1080 resolutions, as well as the trail camera. The T180 and the zoom are rated for 4K. I will include the model numbers in the comments below. Now let me say that I have spent more time with this project trying to get the most honest representation I could. I even went out again on a sunny day just to make sure I got a fair representation for the quality of this T180 camera. This is a photo of the sign from the T180. I did not shrink it or do anything. This is the photo cropped to the proper size for this YouTube video. The photo is cropped to 1920 by 1080, with the rest of the photo removed so the resolution is still 8000 by 4496. With the qualification of this video and what YouTube does to the video after uploading. To my eye, on a 4K computer screen, it just doesn't have the resolution that one would think a 4K camera should have. I think it's because of the lens. Let me run through the comparisons of the other cameras. Even the Zoom 4K camera can't give a true 4K resolution. The camera that gives the best resolution is the Canon camera, recording at 1080. I'll throw in a photo made with a Canon which can take higher resolution photos at 3264 by 1840, and then a bit of the video from the camera itself. As you can see, with a magnification of 4 times, it would be possible to read a license plate number from the photo. I never did say it was a good picture, but it is readable on a 4K screen. It's sad that I can get better resolution off of a camera with 1/4 of the resolution. That's 25% of the 4K camera by using a 1080 camera with a halfway decent lens. So what about the Campark T180 camera? If all you need is non-critical video or photos, it would do the job, maybe, but I still don't like the way it looks. It just lacks detail. But even Campark says it's not a professional camera. In their own way of saying it, the camera is not very good and does not even come close to what a 4K camera should have. As far as I can tell, it doesn't even meet their own specs. I think I'll send it back as defective, which means their whole product line might be defective based upon specifications. I cannot get a picture even close to the photos they show on their own website. As a last effort, I have placed the camera about where it would be mounted and pointed towards the mailbox. Let's see what this comes out as. If I can't read the plates with a camera rated at 4K at 50 feet, then I think they should recall all their lines. I'll add this photo here for all to see. I have the camera photo set at 8000 by 4496, and I can't see the license plate number. Again, I did not reduce, I cropped to 1920 by 1080. On my 4K screen, I cannot see any difference between the full-size photo and the cropped photo. The resolution is just not there. What they did to make it look clearer is they boosted the contrast and the black levels to give the appearance that it's a 4K resolution. I'll leave it to your own consideration of what you think. And leave me a comment down below if you would. I'd like to have your comments on things. If you've got a 4K camera, blow up a photo or a piece of the video 4 times and see if it's a decent video. It should come out somewhere along the lines of a 1920 1080 video or photo. In other words, it should be still pretty clear. I don't know how many of the lower costing cameras can actually do 4K resolution because of the lenses they use. I'm sending this thing back.
Before we go, it's important to quickly mention for all who are visiting to subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, and share with friends and family. Now for the most important part. Thank you to those who have subscribed. Thank you. And yes, thank you to those who are visiting. We value you too. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers so that we may receive a pittance from YouTube to cover expenses. We replaced 1 camera, tripod, and bought a water-cooled editor for video production, plus all the tools we review. So if you could help us reach that 1,000 subscription point, thank you. Well, this is the old farmer Scott Boehm. Be well, be safe, and be kind to someone.
Don't forget to click like and click subscribe on the Old Farmer YouTube channel. And thanks again for watching. Bye.
The VFW National Home for Children, providing families of veterans and active duty military opportunities for growth and development in a nurturing community. Please consider a donation to help their children and families. I.C. Rhodes speaking.